And we're back. So in this video I'm gonna be playing through the 6th mission of the Halo Combat Evolved campaign called 343 Guilty Spark. This mission is gonna be wildly different than any of the other missions you played through so far. In this mission you're gonna be introduced to a brand new enemy, a terrifying enemy, and an enemy in which you will have to completely throw away pretty much everything that you've learned so far in terms of, basic combat and tactics against the Covenant per se. So I just adjusted my microphone to since it was a little bit too loud. Let's see. There we go. I don't use like one of those mounted microphones I have on my headset. So this mission in particular, I remember playing through, well, on easy since we were kids back then. But me and my friend, we were absolutely terrified of this mission because of the heavy atmosphere, all the hints of terrible things happening all around you, and something happening that's beyond your control. I think that's what really made this mission, truly terrifying for us, is that something really wrong is going on around you, but you have no control over it, and you just don't know what it is ahead of time until the big reveal, of course. So, in general, this mission doesn't have that difficult of a gameplay. You should be able to make through this fine. You are going to be introduced to a brand new weapon, which is going to be a lifesaver against this new enemy that you'll be facing. It will really change the way you play and give you the advantage for sure. It's going to be really cutscene heavy, and there's a really big cutscene in the middle, in which I will try to shut up for most of it. As I watched this mission with you, I pretty much just played this, so this is fresh gameplay, It's not, a cheat video from weeks ahead of time like Mission 5 was. But this is actually some fresh gameplay. Not that it really matters with a game that's this old. But yeah, anyway, this mission is really where I felt like I remember feeling like I'm just lost on another planet, and me and my friend were panicking and desperately lost because this mission can feel like a maze for someone that hasn't played through it. There's so many doors and there's no real indication or waypoint for you to lead you in the right direction. So that just really adds to the terrifying experience you will have playing through this mission. Other than that, the gameplay itself, it's not that hard. It's probably not including the Pillar of Autumn, because that mission is just a breeze. Probably the easiest mission of the campaign. So yeah, let's start this. And I'll walk you through this. So as you can see, as usual, we're playing this mission on legendary difficulty with no skulls on. Just standard, regular, legendary. Nothing weird or out of the ordinary there, really. I'm previewing my audio settings right now to make sure this begin doesn't, overpower my voice. But for some reason, the enemies are fleeing. There's a pelican there. Crashed.
The last transmission from the captain's dropship was from this area. That was over 12 hours ago. When you locate Captain Keyes, radio in, and I'll come pick you up.
And we get dropped off by Foehammer here in this kind of swamp-looking location, and I kind of give Foehammer a little glance, wishing I didn't have to do this, really. I'm gonna adjust my volume just a little bit. That should be good, though. So I am exploring a little bit here. I'm checking out the Pelican. There's some strange ammo there for some other weapon that I don't have yet. So right now I'm just going with a pistol and assault rifle. Which should work if you're experienced and you feel comfortable in your abilities, which I don't. I just use the plasma pistol as the placeholder for now. You can totally play through this mission with the assault rifle just fine. It's not hard in particular. Just make sure you are careful with your pistol ammo. In this mission, especially during the beginning, it can be a little bit rare. So if you can't score headshots or clean kills with the pistol, just use the plasma pistol or another plasma weapon instead. Also, when it comes to your frag grenades, you will start out with 4 of them. Save 2 to the check to or at least 1. Yeah, probably 1 is gonna be fine. Save 1 for the cutscene coming up. Once you enter the facility here, you're gonna need it. So for the outdoor section, feel free to use all your frags except 2 of them. And before the cutscene, make sure you save 1. So that's really it, I guess. So I'm just mopping up the jackals here. Should be no problem really. Just use some cover if they are, you know, bunching up. Use grenades. The plasma pistol overcharge work great against the shields. And if you look at on my motion tracker, there's some yellow dots there, and usually that means friendly. And I'm looking up at the ledge in front of me, looking like, are those Marines? Not sure, but you know, they just run away and then they disappear for some reason, so it's really strange. So there's gonna be a big group of jackals and grunts. You can fight them, however it's a lot more difficult than it looks like, because they're fleeing. But once they actually stand their ground and fight you, it's actually pretty hard. So I recommend you using the active camo, which you don't really need because they're gonna be, you know, focused on running away, to just, you know, slip by. So the active camo is kind of like a little hidden bonus, I guess. And then you go over to the, strangely enough, ascending lift. Someone activated it from below. You write it down, and there's gonna be a whole bunch of grunts and jackals just kind of hanging out in this little structure here. So you can just frag them all. Just ricochet one off the wall without them seeing you, and you'll be able to take pretty much all of them out. And then just take up a position by this doorway. And if you can catch the jackals off guard one by one, the plasma pistol works really well at taking them down because it will stun them. Kind of like how it did with the elites in the first mission. Plasma weapons have a really nice stunning effect against unshielded foes. And then you can shift your focus down to the enemies down below. And what I like doing here, which I did unsuccessfully here, is I actually like killing most of the grunts first. And then sometimes they will drop plasma grenades, and I throw in a plasma grenade on top of that, creating a massive chain reaction that will take out all the jackals. That will happen a lot more often than you might think. I just did a bad job at killing enough grunts, and they kind of scattered a little bit around that big pillar in the middle, as you can see. So I had to do some headshot work with a pistol. So in this next room, there's only gonna be a group of jackals. They kind of cower by this door, like something terrible happened in there. So I just like to throw a frag, and that's why you wanted to save a frag. It was for this encounter, because if they stand their ground, you have to take them out one by one, usually with your regular weapons, or you just use plasmas. But I use like using frags because it's more effective. And there's some strange green goop dripping from the ceiling, and there's some blood on the walls here. So it's just another example of, you know, the level design here. And I'm kind of looking inside because I can hear some sounds. So that's really creepy. And I entered this room expecting enemies, because there's weapons, there's turrets all around, and there's blood on the ground, but there's no enemies here for some reason, which is rather odd. And
Stay back! Stay back! You're not turning me into one of those things! I'll blow your brains out! Get away from me! Ah! Ah! Don't touch!
And here you have a poor marine that's gotten completely insane, talking gibberish about something turning him into some kind of monster or whatever. And you know, this room is pretty much just trashed. Like, there's fires going on, explosions, blood everywhere. So it is evident that something terrible has happened in this facility, but you just don't know yet what caused this. Like, something is attacking the Covenant and the Marines simultaneously. And then you enter into this room and you get confirmation with blood all over the place, corpses. There is a health pack here if you need it though. And you just have to walk up over to that door to start the cutscene.
Why do we always have to listen to this old stuff, Sarge?
Watch your mouth, son. This stuff is your history. It should remind you grunts what we're fighting to protect.
Hey, if the Covenant want to wipe out this particular part of my history, that's fine by me.
Yeah, better it than us.
You ask them real nice next time you see them, Vicente. I'm sure they'll be happy to oblige.
LZ looks clear. I'm bringing us down.
Go, go, go! Stay close, Jenkins. Mendoza, move it up! Wait here for the captain and his squad, then get your ass inside.
Sir!
Okay, let's move!
Which is weird, right? I mean, look at it. Something scrambled the insides.
What's that? Plasma scoring?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was an accident, you know, friendly fire or something?
What do we have, Sergeant?
Looks like a Covenant patrol. Badass elite units. All KIA.
Real pretty. Friend of yours?
Nah, we just met.
Right, well, let's get this door open.
I'll try, sir. But it looks like these Covenant worked pretty hard to lock it down.
Just do it, son.
Yes, sir. I got a bad feeling about this.
Boy, you always got a bad feeling about something.
Sarge, can you hear me?
What's going on, soldier?
He's got contact, lots of them, but they're not coming in. They're just tearing through us. What the? Oh, no!
Corporal, do you copy? Over. Mendoza, get your ass back up to second squad's position and find out what the hell is going on.
But-
I don't have time for your lip, soldier. I gave you an order.
Sarge! Listen!
What is that?
Where's that coming from,
Everywhere.
Mendoza?
I don't... There! Mira! Hold still! Hold still!
Let him have it.
Ah!
Sergeant, we're surrounded. God damn it, Jenkins! Fire your weapon!
There are too many,
Don't
Sarge!
even think about it, Marine.
Oh, this is local!
Here, Marine. That's an order.
Jenkins!
So after that cutscene, you're gonna have the first encounter with the Flood. It's the terrifying new enemy that you'll be facing in this mission. So I prefer to just take up a position in the center, and then one of these doors will bust down and you will be attacked by the first form of the Flood, the infection form. And these guys are really easy to kill. They basically just have 1 HP, and they will die from absolutely everything. And also, when you kill one, as it explodes, the other infection forms around it will actually pop as well. So having weapons with good crowd control works really well against them, like the plasma weapons and the assault rifle in particular. So I recommend you having one of those for this section, as you clear out the infection forms here. And then you just have to clear out enough of them, and then you will hear a music change. And then you need to move over to the door where you entered from for the next wave of enemies. I'm actually, you know, trying to get into spawn right now, and it turns out here they are. So I throw a grenade unsuccessfully here. It's stuck one of the infection forms. This is why I recommended you have to have one of the frags left for this part, because you don't get any once you enter the facility. So I missed the grenade stick, and all the combat forms charged me down and just completely wrecked me. So let's do this again. Remember, use your motion tracker, look for the red dots, and just keep on firing that plasma pistol in steady bursts, so you don't let it overcharge like it did here for me. As the combat forms get to you, they do a little bit of damage to your shields. They don't do a whole lot, but once your shields are down, they will eat through your health like mad. And something you can also do is you can use grenades if you feel like taking out, you know, a ton of them at once to speed things up. But it's optional. So careful planning is really key when fighting a Flood. Knowing where they're gonna spawn, planting strategic and well-timed grenades that's gonna be in their path. Or like here, knowing where they're gonna spawn and, you know, using the tight spaces to make sure the grenades do as much damage as possible. And as you can see here, only one of those combat forms actually made it into the room this time, and it was way easier. I didn't even take any health damage, as you can see, which is nice always. So in this mission, all of the combat forms that you'll be facing will be forms of elites, and how that works according to the lore is the infection forms will jump up when you're vulnerable and attach you themselves just above your collarbone, pretty much, and then they will rapidly start, you know, spreading like a cancer throughout your entire body, kind of like Deadpool, you know. Because he has a healing factor, the cancer just makes a physical appearance. It doesn't actually kill him, you know. But here, it completely takes over the human body and turns them into these creatures, which is the Flood. I really recommend you watching or reading some of the lore, especially the book Halo the Flood, which pretty much covers this entire game. I really recommend it. It's really good, even for, you know, not being a Halo fan. It's a pretty good novel, in my opinion. And also, there's a ton of Halo lore on YouTube videos covering certain moments of time, if that's your thing. So here I'm using a bit of a grenade trick. So the combat forms in particular, they love gunfire. It's like their favorite thing in the world for some reason, and they come rushing when they hear it. And they get stuck underneath the platform you stand on, so you can kind of abuse their AI a little bit to bunch them up, and then you can take them all out with a grenade. Obviously works better with frags because they ricochet, but plasmas works too if you know, place them right. So for finding your way here, I'm not gonna do any explanation because I might actually screw up. I just remember this from muscle memory since I played this mission through more times than I like to admit, really. So just go where I go and you'll be fine. And make sure you don't, you know, just rush in blindly, because the fall can easily overwhelm you, especially on legendaries. So just take them out one by one and you'll be fine. You know, I get it. Like, this mission is really intimidating because it's so, you know, creepy and frightening in many ways. But the gameplay itself, I really wanna point this out, that the gameplay itself really isn't that hard. You just don't, you just have to, you know, use basic tactics, just use cover, don't fight too many at once, and you'll be fine. Now, I have a note about that little hit I took right there. There's actually Flood hiding behind that door, or they can't really enter to attack you. But the Rip Arm is long enough to actually melee you through the geometry of the mission, so just make sure you don't move too close to the door and you'll avoid taking unnecessary damage. So something I really like doing against these jackals is I like using the ledge to kind of triangulate where their heads are gonna be to score headshots, and it's really easy. I just used a grenade to thin them out, and I took the rest of them out with just headshots. But in my opinion, this mission is really where things, you know, take a turn for the more moody and, you know, scary and atmospheric. And it kind of pushes you forward differently than the missions previously, where you were just the Covenant Slayer, pretty much. Now you're the one that's hunted, and it's really terrifying. So this is a great landmark. If you made it to this room with these kind of, science experimentation stuff, you're going in the right way. If you find the elevator where you came down on and activate it, you can actually go back out to that elevator. If you activate it, it will actually explode and fall down as burning debris. And then you have to go back and find another way. And that has happened to me a lot of times, playing through this game as I was a kid. And I was just freaking out, because where the hell did I go for, I was just clueless, pretty much. And, yeah. Look at all the blood on the walls. So gory and ugh. Full this nasty business, for sure. So in this part, you're gonna notice a really big difference, and suddenly the flood has weapons. So using cover is gonna become even more important here, because then, well, if you use cover, then they can't shoot at you, obviously. So I just like using, the corners of the geometry that's in the room to kind of kite them out a little bit, And in here, I really recommend you just waiting a little bit, because in this room you're gonna find a new piece of equipment that you're gonna find immensely useful in progressing with this mission, and also most of the rest of the game, to be honest. And that is the shotgun. So I like just chilling up here, and I look at the enemies down below, and I try to find one that has a shotgun. And as you can see, I see one over by that Marine corpse there. Don't bother trying to save the Marines. I have never done it. Never. Not once. And remember, I've been playing this game for like 20 plus years, so it's impossible saving those Marines. And even if you do somehow, despite it being, impossible, they will just die in the upcoming part, so don't bother. So here's the shotgun, and the shotgun is, well, pretty self-explanatory. Fires 8-gauge shells at the enemies. That does a crap ton of damage at close to medium range. And it is the only weapon, as far as I'm aware, that you can use against the Flood, and it will make sure they never get up. Some of the Floods are faker Floods. They die, and then they get back up to try and surprise you. The shotgun prevents that from happening, so that makes it even better against the Flood. So it's just more of the same here now. It's just that now I have a shotgun, so now this becomes trivial, really. Just make sure to take everyone out. And here, all the enemies have actually gathered on top of me, so I throw a plasma up there to hopefully take most of them out. As you can see, I actually took out quite a few with that. So against the Flood, like, the grenades and the weapons you use, they become mostly, tools for progressing more than weapons against a commonly intelligent enemy like the Covenant. It becomes just more like obstacle clearing, in my opinion, which is not necessarily a bad thing, Not even sure if that makes any sense, but when the Flood, they pretty much just zombies, They will mindlessly rush you down, and that means that you're gonna be abusing their behavior even more. than you did with the Covenant per se. So here you're gonna have some of the human forms. They're smaller in size, obviously, because they're a lot smaller than the elites. And that bridge is broken, so you can't go across. So we just move through here for now. And here you can see a really great example of the little grenade trick. And now we have the shotgun and the frag grenades. So this is really, you know, ideal. I just use some gunfire to lure all the flood to gather up underneath the platform, and then I ricochet a frag grenade against the wall. Wake up, sorry. I haven't really had breakfast yet today, so it's 3 in the afternoon. So I know it's chaos. Anyway, as you can see, that took all of them out. So it's really not necessary though, because this mission is, like I said, it's pretty easy anyway. So if anything, it makes it faster. So I think. Something that I experienced during this mission is I was really intimidated going into this. It's like doing this mission has been something that's been on my mind this week, and you know, I went through several like disasters, you know, scenarios in my head, imagining what if this happens or that happens. So this is a bit of a brain fart on my end. Don't go in here. There's nothing here. It's just, you know, a dead end. And if you enter that room, you know, completely, if you go down to the pedestal, I believe this actually trigger that makes a massive wave of flood spawn behind you, and they will charge you down as you're stuck inside of that tiny little room. So don't go there. Just go into the other, you know, broken down door. And you'll know that you're going the right way if there's enemies in here. So I was like taking them out first before progressing. And something that's worth noting about the human combat form is I feel like they're a lot faster than the elite forms. You know, for whatever reason, I feel like they jump faster, and they are just more, you know, more rushy than the other ones. So here you're gonna have a ton of shotgun reloads, so you can just, you know, fill up your shotgun ammo here on that little box. And your imagination will go wild here, because you can just imagine, you know, the Covenant and the Flood holding their ground together against the Flood as they're being rushed down. But it just wasn't enough for them to escape the facility. There's loads of those little, you know, scenarios spread out throughout this level where you just think about how the characters in the game would have felt going through what they did in this facility. So for this part, I'm actually surprised at how few Flood there were here. Usually there is 2 big waves that spawn in the next room that comes charging through this doorway, and I kind of tried to draw them out here with a few frags ahead of time to make it easier, but there really were only like 5 or 6 of them in total. So I don't know what to say about that. Usually there's way more enemies here. So I would recommend that you expect that to happen, to just have a big, you know, flood rush, and just disregard what happened here. Still, that was kind of strange.
This is Echo 419. Chief, is that you? I lost your signal when you disappeared inside the structure. What's going on down there? I'm tracking movement all over the place.
Sir, thank God you're here. We've been lost out here for hours. After we lost contact with the rest of the mission, we headed for the RV point, and then these things, they ambushed us. We gotta get out of here.
About time you showed
There's a
up.
large tower a few hundred meters from your current position. Find a way above the fog and foliage canopy, and I can move in and pick you up.
So I hate this part because it always makes me screw up somehow. It's, you know, big open spaces and flooded with weapons and marines. It's just chaos, and I have no idea what happened there. I shot the flood with my shotgun and then I just died. I don't know. I blame 343 for that. They screwed something up, because that never happened with the original game. You know, the original 2001 ROM. But what I like doing is I like moving around the terrain and killing the stragglers first, and then I move towards the marines and I kill the enemies that will be amongst them attacking. And that's kind of how I like doing this. I don't stick by the marines because I don't really expect them to survive anyway, but I use them as a distraction to center all of the enemy activity, and then I just kind of move around the proximity of where the main fight is at, and I take them out one by one. So don't even try to bother saving your marines here. It's possible, but it's really hard. It only takes one infection form to kill a marine, so I usually don't bother. And then you wanna go up and touch the tower. That will make the sentinels spawn in, and then you just have to clear out all of the combat forms to finish the mission.
Greetings. I am the monitor of Installation 04. I am 343 Guilty Spark. Someone has released the flood. My function is to prevent it from leaving this installation, but I require your assistance. Come, this way.
Chief, I've lost your signal. Where'd you go? Chief! Chief!
And there you have it. So that is gonna be the end of the sixth mission of the campaign. And now you're gonna go into a really infamous mission of the Halo Combat Evolved campaign. And I was actually hesitating just continuing this on and doing a big recording session with both of these missions, including both of them, but I'm not, because the library is usually for me around 45 to 50 minutes of just flood killing and shotgun spamming over and over again. And while it's a nicely designed mission, I find it a little bit repetitive, you know. So we'll do it in the next mission. So what could I have to say about 343 Guilty Spark? 343 Guilty Spark is actually the AI that kind of maintains the Halo ring. And the purpose of the Halo Ring was for the Forerunners a sort of a last resort for dealing with the flood threat, because, well, they were getting, their butt kicked by the flood, losing planet after planet. It was a large-scale conflict, and also like this conflict between the humans and the Forerunners happened in like 100,000 years before the events of this game. So 343 Guilty Spark is really old, obviously. But something that I want to make a note of is that there were actually humans back then, back when the Halo Rings were first constructed, and they were, they ended up fighting the Forerunners because they fled to their planets, being pursued by the flood, and that's kind of how the Forerunners and the flood ended up, fighting each other. And the Forerunners were really dumb because they interpreted the expansion, quote unquote, from the ancient humans as an act of warfare against them. So they started fighting the humans instead of fighting the flood. So on one side the humans were dealing with the flood threat, and then on the other they were dealing with the Forerunners. And when the humans were pretty much stripped down to like Stone Age levels of technology, it was just the Forerunners and the flood left, and the Forerunners were, they had nothing that they could do against them. Just endless swarms. And something that the flood does, which you will see later on in this campaign, is they gather up corpses and they create something that's called a Gravemind, which can, use alien technology in order to, travel between star systems and such, and use ships that they have infected. So that just makes the flood more terrifying, because now they're not just mindless zombies anymore. They are actually intelligent and controlled with a purpose, by something that's indigenous, self-aware. So yeah. Again, I will recommend you to check out the lore of the game. There's so much, and you don't even have to dip your feet into the other games to understand the full picture here going on and what is causing the things to happen in the way they do in this game. But as a kid, of course, none of this made any sense. I learned about all of the lore as I grew up, and as I played this game. The meaning became more clear to me, what this game was actually about, and what the characters and the enemies were, and all that stuff. So yeah. So this mission is really, for me personally, as I grew up with different pieces of content, this mission was one of the starting points for me to, think back towards my childhood, me experiencing something, using the nostalgia to motivate myself to, learn more about what was actually going on. Kind of like when you rewatch a movie that you really like and you notice details in the lore, and you kind of go into the fandom and you just it's a big spiral. I have that in Phases still, around Halo in particular. But I've done so much. I read several of the novels. I just found pirated copies of the audiobooks on the web. Don't pirate stuff, by the way. Well, I'm kind of a dick, so yeah, I guess it's fine for me to do it. But yeah, I don't know. But like I said, I really recommend the novels, and especially Hail the Flood. That covers the entire story of this game, and also covers some of the characters more in depth, telling you a little bit more about how they ended up, where they ended up, why Captain Keyes ended up in this terrible facility to start with, and a little bit more what happened with him afterwards. So yeah, I'm actually not sure what else to say about this mission. For me, the gameplay was a lot easier than I remembered it to be. There's no elites in this mission, obviously, none at all, and the amount of elites that you'll be encountering will almost always be heavily reduced and replaced by encounters with the Flood instead from this point. Starting with a library where you have no confident enemies at all, it's just a Flood, you know. But yeah, I guess that's everything I have to say, so you just have to stay tuned for whenever I decide to record this piece of work, the freaking library level. So yeah, but hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I keep on having a lot of fun, and I keep on getting drawn back into just the act of recording something, because it's always fun to look back at something you created in the past. So to some degree, I guess the videos that I upload to my YouTube right now, it's gonna be kind of like an archive, because they're gonna be there forever, right? As long as the website is still running, it's still gonna be there for you guys to watch. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap up this video here. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next mission, and thanks for watching.